So far in this oh so young NHL season, we have had Joseph Woll and now Linus Ullmark sit out games with stiffness. So let's dive into that. Let's see, maybe should you be sitting out games with stiffness? When is it stiffness okay and when is it an injury? Let's answer those questions for you. And I'm going to give you some strategies to help reduce your risk of having to miss games for stiffness. In this video, I'm going to help you figure out the difference between stiffness, soreness, and when it's an injury and when maybe you should take a practice off or a game off. I'm also going to help dispel one of the biggest myths I've heard about soft tissue injuries.
A brilliant stop by Joseph Woll.
So is this stiffness or is this an injury? Should you skip practice or a game, or can you play through it? Let's say you're a varsity goalie and you've just gone through an intense training camp. Maybe your strength coach has started a new phase and there's some new exercises in there that are a little bit different from what you're used to. Or typically you get 30 shots in a game and last night you had 57 saves. And so, there's some unaccustomed volume. So you're feeling some stiffness and some soreness in your muscle. So sort of in the belly of the muscle. That's soreness. And so what you might need is a little extra time to warm up. You want to make sure you're hydrated, but you should be able to continue on with that. And nothing happened. Like if you get run over and you're like, oh, my knee is a little bit sore today. Okay, that makes sense because there was some sort of mechanism of injury.
And he takes out Markstrom.
And that's something that you're going to want to keep an eye on day to day so that you can decide, hey, is this just sore because I got run over and it got bent funny? Or is this actually an injury where I should be going to the physiotherapist and getting some treatment on it? And I think the rule of thumb for that one is if it's feeling dramatically better from day to day. So let's say last night I was playing, I got run over backwards, my knee, folded in behind me. And today it's a little bit sore on that medial side. Maybe when I get out of bed, it's actually quite stiff and sore. But as I get moving around, loosening it up, it actually feels pretty good and really only feel it if I kind of torque it specifically. Tomorrow I get out of bed, actually feels a lot better. I barely even notice it at all. This is the kind of progression where it's like, yeah, you probably overstretched something, but nothing too serious. So just, carry on. If you go to practice and it doesn't make it feel worse, then we're usually pretty good. If, however, that knee's a bit sore, I go to practice, that kind of makes it feel worse. It's stiff every time I sit down and then start to go again. It really stiffens up. The next day, it's not significantly better. It's still limiting what I can do in the gym, on the ice. Then that's a signal to me, hey, maybe there's something going on. Maybe I did sort of damage something to some degree. I should be going to my physical therapist, get them to assess it, figure out maybe what's going on and what's the safest route for me to get back. If you are experiencing pain, in particular joint pain, or there's swelling and it's not getting better over time, or even that muscle soreness isn't getting better over time, then that's time to sort of say, okay, well, maybe I better go see the physical therapist, have them assess this and see what's going on. The same goes, like I talk about muscle, like if it's sort of in the muscle belly, that's kind of normal delayed onset muscle soreness. But if it's kind of a constantly in the tendon sort of area, like where the soft tissue crosses the joint, then again, that could be sort of a chronic tendonitis type of thing. So the key for those is things that's getting worse or not getting better over time. For beer league goalies, it's often about recovery or giving your body enough time in between ice sessions or other workouts that you do to get some recovery. So being really diligent with your post-skate restorative module, and goalies in the game-winning goalie formula or turning pro, I give you one and it only takes about 7 minutes to get through, but it really makes a difference in how well you can recover. I did a video of some sample exercises that you can include in that for you to check out. But that's mostly the hurdle there. Now, if that discomfort isn't getting better or is getting worse over time, again, time to go see the physical therapist. Keep little things, don't let them grow into big things. And if you're the parent of a little mini goalie, that's so cute, and they're complaining about some soreness, Again, it's not crazy for a kid to feel sore, so we don't want to make a really big deal about it, but just watch them in their everyday activity. Are they limping, or are they avoiding other activities, or are they saying, oh, my legs are really sore, and then they're, doing somersaults off the back of the sofa? Then you kind of know, okay. But if they're really sore and you notice that they're kind of guarding some of their movements, then definitely time to go see the physical therapist. And you'll notice I've said physical therapist rather than the doctor, because physical therapists just have a lot better manual assessment skills than most family doctors. They spend a lot of time working on those. They're really evaluated in their coursework on how accurately they can do those types of tests. Whereas if you're going to be a doctor, you need to know, this is heartburn, this is a heart attack. There's a lot you need to know that's a lot more important than, is this a grade 1 or a grade 2 Lockman, So that's why I say physical therapist. And it is important that you go to a physical therapist who's has experience working with athletes, specializes in working with athletes. Doesn't need to be hockey players, doesn't need to be goalies. They'll have the skills to figure out what's going on. I have had a couple people ask me about podcasts, or people who are hockey insiders or those kind of things, saying that they heard that somebody said, it's like, my uncle's cousin said that the goalie's responsible for all soft tissue injuries and that there shouldn't be any soft tissue injuries. Those should all be handled through their, off-ice training or cold tubs or, whatever it is. And that simply isn't true. You cannot eliminate all injuries. We all have differences in our tissue quality, in our anatomy. Think of being a goalie. Are you biased to have your hips internally rotated or externally rotated? Well, if my hips are a little biased towards external rotation and I'm trying to be a goalie, I'm going to be putting a lot more force on those soft tissues, so I'm going to overload them. And I don't think there's any training that's going to eliminate every single injury. And trust me, I would love the idea, and I know that my programs help reduce the risk of injury, but we can't eliminate all injuries. So we can't just dump all the responsibility on the goalie to say, hey, you should have prepared better to prevent that kind of injury. But if you're not preparing your body to do what a goalie needs to do, then you do have to take some ownership of that. If you're, spending time in the gym getting strong, but not getting strong in a way that helps you on the ice, not working, you're doing stretches, but you're not working mobility the way you need it to get into and out of some of these awkward positions, then that part's on you. Shame on you. I guess my point with this is be a good consumer, be an informed consumer. Look at who are you hearing these kinds of things from, and a simple way to sort of figure, hey, how much merit is there, or should I be listening to this person? And basically, do they earn their full-time living doing what they're talking about, So it's like if I'm a hockey insider on a podcast and I'm saying what you should do to prevent injury, it's like, okay, maybe I don't know exactly. But, if you listen to my friend Kevin Neild or Anthony Donskoff or those guys who are exercise scientists, they work with hockey players all the time. They're really involved in helping reduce the risk of injuries. Then it's like, okay, if they say I need to stretch for 5 minutes, then I better stretch for 5 minutes. If they say a cold tub is a good idea, then probably a cold tub is a good idea. But if, Uncle Eddie, who used to play 20 years ago, said that he remembers someone said sometime that, you should do this, take that with a grain of salt, as they say. Finally, how can we reduce our risk of stiffness so that we don't even have to have these conversations in our brain? We can just feel really great from practice to practice and game to game. Number one is your off-ice dynamic warm-up. So preparing your body to do what it needs to do, getting your heart rate pumping, increasing free fatty acid mobilization so you have that energy stores right when you hit the ice. The other great thing about a dynamic warm-up, because it stays the same throughout the season, whether it's before practice or before games, it's the same. And so what that does is it lets you know exactly what's normal for you. So let's say you're doing just a walking quadricep stretch and you realize, wow, that quad's really, really tight today. Well, then you could do an extra foam roll or massage gun and some extra stretches to get it feeling back what's normal for you. So that's a really key element. Staying hydrated is a key to recovering and getting rehydrated. We don't all want to be, and we don't have time to be like sipping on the water bottle through the whole game, have to go pee your pants all the time. But once you get off the ice, you need to take in that hydration. I'm not a heavy sweater, but with all my gear on, I'm soaked. So you need to make sure you're replenishing that fluid so that your muscles can repair and rebuild to the best of their ability. And finally, some active recovery when you get off the ice. I already mentioned the recovery module, and that takes just about 5 to 7 minutes. And really, that's just about bringing your nervous system down, so getting you out of that sympathetic fight or flight nervous system, helping your body just recover, letting your muscles lengthen out and relax. We'll use some techniques in there from Eldoa to help kind of realign and decompress our joints, and come back to this nice baseline reset. And that is a huge difference for goalies. When I work training camps and I get them to, I say, hey, after the ice session, get just out of your wet clothes and come and do, put on dry clothes. Obviously, just don't get out of your clothes and come. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to do a little post-skate recovery module, and they're kind of like, because you don't want to have to do another thing. You want to go golfing. So, but they'll do it, and then after the first day, I don't have to bug them about it. They'll do it because they feel that much of a difference sort of the next day, getting out of bed and getting back on the ice. So those are 3 key ingredients. So your pre-skate, your hydration, nutrition, and your post-skate. You do need to listen to your body, but you also need to know, hey, like, you're an athlete playing a really hard sport that demands you put your body in really awkward, unpredictable, sometimes high velocity positions. So there is going to be soreness from time to time, and you can't just skip a game or practice every time you're sore. Now, this isn't saying those NHL goalies shouldn't skip a game or practice, because the team doesn't want to say anything to the media, so they're just going to say, they're stiff, they're sore. There's other things going on behind the scenes. I'm sure it isn't just that they're like, I feel a little sore, I don't think I better play today. But I know that you see that, and then sometimes you think, well, maybe I should skip a game or practice. So soreness is natural. It's a part of being an athlete. But if it's getting worse or not getting better, if it's pain in a joint that's like, geez, that hurts, or even if you go out and you're warming up and it's not really getting better with a warm up, then you might want to have that conversation with your parents or your coach or, your teammates, and see what's going to be the best decision for you for that day. I will post links in the description below. I will post a link to a pre-skate warm-up. I will post a little nutrition recovery link, and I will post a post-skate recovery restorative module for you down there, so you can check out all those ingredients. If you have any questions about, hey, this is what I feel, am I stiff or am I sore, I'm probably going to tell you to go to physical therapy, but you can always drop them down below. Also, tell me a little bit about who you are, what level you play at, and what questions you have, so I can make sure I keep creating content that is helpful and relevant to you. Otherwise, I will catch you next time. Same bad time, same bad channel. I love you guys.